Hey you guys, it's Sam, and in this video I'm going to be doing a critique slash paint over of one of my older artworks from 2008. So let's get into it. The first thing that I noticed when looking at this artwork, well, let me, start with some compliments first, is I really like the hair, I really like the movement of it, and I kind of like the stillness of the character plus the movement of the hair. I think that kind of adds a nice balance and some interest. But I think the thing that pops out the most to me is actually the lean, the torso, how it's sort of the characters just sort of all going slightly to the side, and then also the shoulder neck situation is probably the second thing. So in the purpose for this paint over, what I wanted to do is sort of keep in mind the essence of the original artwork and the skill set of where I was at that time. So I didn't want to just completely paint over this, make it 100% a new piece, basically, like something that I would draw nowadays. I wanted to paint over it in a way that the level where I was at, I would be able to understand the changes that I made, and those changes would be approachable for me. They would be something that I could easily work towards. So that was the point of this paint over. So the end result isn't going to be amazingly different. It's going to be pretty similar, but just a few important differences, I think. So to start with, I did want to identify the light source. I did find the shading to be a little bit off in some places. Like, I know what I was going for. Like, the jacket is supposed to be a zipper jacket. That's what those little white parts are. I was a bit lazy about drawing the jacket at the time. And the shadow there on the gray shirt, it doesn't exactly make sense, but I see what I was going for. Like, oh, this jacket is casting a shadow on the shirt that it's covering. I get it. I know where my mind was at. It's good thinking, not 100% wonderful execution, and I think a big part of that was just not using references. But the thing I'm working on right now is the face, and I actually had some trouble with the nose because I still wanted to keep to that same style. So it was kind of difficult of like, okay, what sort of nose should I go here to sort of match what I was going for, but then just try to put it a little bit further, like take things a little bit further. So sorry, there's like a lot happening right now. So I marked the sun where the light source is coming from, so I can have an overall sense of this is the direction, since I'm assuming, based off of the shading on the face, this was the direction I had intended the light source to be. So right now I'm starting to just sort of altering the shape of the face, and also the placement of the face in connection to the neck, since I thought it was a little bit lopsided, I guess a little bit off-centered. I wanted to center it a little bit better. And also, a little bit of a challenge for me with this paint over is that I'm actually not using any pen pressure. So I'm using a tablet, which is what I used at the time, but at the time the tablet I was using didn't have pen pressure. So I challenged myself to just not use pen pressure for this paint over, so it can once again be an approachable thing for the me back then of like, look, you don't have pen pressure, neither do I. I don't have pen pressure, so this is what you can do without pen pressure. So, also a lot of I pretty much kept like all of the colors as well in this. I didn't want to focus on colors, that's too many things at once. When I give critiques, I like to give a couple things at a time, probably no more than like 2 or 3, so then the person who's getting the critique, which would be old me from 2008, I would be able to not be overwhelmed with the number of things to fix, because it's like, yeah, I could address the tones here, I could address the values here, but I didn't want that to be my focus, because I think the thing that stuck out to me the most was that lean, was the anatomy. And I think in large part, just based off of what I remember, I think it's because I drew the body of the character, or no, I didn't draw the body of the character is what I meant to say. I just drew the clothes. I didn't actually work in the body first and then draw the clothes on top of that. And I think especially for beginners, when you're still learning a lot of new things at once, that sort of step is pretty important, I think. I think nowadays there are times where I can get away with just drawing clothes without drawing the body, and there's definitely artists out there who are very skilled and can just do that. But most of the time, even now, like, I still need help. I still need that base there to help to build things on top of. So drawing the body first, I think, would have been a huge help here, because I think I would have pretty quickly noticed the error of the shoulders, mostly one being longer, and they also kind of sagged a bit more. The neck was a bit long. So these sort of things I think I would have found, or maybe not even made those mistakes, potentially, had I drawn in the body first and then the clothes on top. And I also had a habit of making waists really tiny back then, so not a surprise that that was also an issue here. I don't think me drawing the body first would have fixed that. I think there would have still been an issue with that. So the next thing I'm doing is working on the jacket. So I am pulling up reference photos for specifically zipper jackets. So if you're going for like a really cartoony look, that sort of thing, go for it. Why not YOLO? I mean, I think it was pretty obvious that it was a zipper jacket or that there was something going on with the jacket there. So I don't think that was a huge issue, but for me, aesthetically, I wasn't super into it, so I went ahead and just painted over that. I was going to adjust it later. And then I'm also trying to adjust some of the shading, trying to make things a little bit nicer, again, still having to struggle a little bit without the pen pressure, but I made it work. I did use the smudge tool though, just because it kind of looked like I did do some sort of blending thing going, and I'm like, okay, we're keeping the same style, we're matching things here, we're just gonna put that in. So I was gonna redo the zipper lining of the jacket, and then also the overall top of the form of the jacket. So the jacket just sort of comes out a little bit like a collar and then just goes down, and I wanted it to put it a little bit more realistic, but it's still like there with the cartooniness of it. It's still there with a sort of anime style. Like, it doesn't take away from it, just to have an extra detail, and I feel like it almost elevates it just a little bit more by having the collar turn outward and fold over. So if you have no idea what visuals I'm describing, if you were to wear a jacket, like, it doesn't just doesn't come out like that exactly. Like, sometimes they'll fold over, or if it is really thick like that, then you're gonna see the emphasis of that thickness there. So instead, I assumed this was going to be more of a thinner side jacket, so I was going to have that fold over so the collar just kind of bends backwards, is hopefully what I'm getting across. And then another important detail, which I did end up drawing in, which I think even if I had done nothing else, if I had just done this would have already done so much for this drawing, which was disconnecting the clothing, disconnecting this black, is it a jacket? Like, if it's short sleeve still? Like, I don't know. But the black clothing, disconnecting it from the body. So the original drawing, it was like, there was one line from the neck to the shoulder to the jacket. It was one solid line, instead of having the jacket sit on top of the body. There was no like separation there. And I think had I just done that, like show the clothing wrapping around the neck, like sitting on top of the shoulders, I think that would have already, like just that alone, would have done a lot for the jacket itself. So now I'm just sort of like jumping around, sort of adjusting some shadows, some folds, some shapes, things like that. I didn't want to do too much. Again, I wanted to keep to the same feeling of the original, the same style of the original. I didn't want to take too much away. Sometimes, I don't want to name names, but sometimes when I see critiques of people critiquing other artwork or painting over other artwork, the information they give is still useful, but I feel like sometimes the original feeling, the original style of the artwork can get lost, and I really didn't want to have that happen here. So I really wanted these changes to be small but significant. So that was my goal here with this critique, and hopefully it came across okay. You can let me know how I did in the comments. So again, it's a lot of minor adjustments. I had a habit, I still do have this habit of drawing my artworks crooked. And I think had I spent a little bit more time on this piece, kind of stepping away, coming back sort of thing, zooming in, zooming out, just changing my perspective of flipping the canvas, something like that, I would have probably noticed the lean of the body, because I had to adjust it several times when doing this paint over to get it to where she was standing straight. And like, maybe I wanted her leaning, I don't know, like a Dutch angle sort of thing, but it didn't seem like that from the original drawing, and I don't think from what I remember that was my intention, because you can definitely do a Dutch angle and have it look really cool, but I don't think that's what I was going here. And I wanted to also more emphasize that stillness of the body, that straightness of the body, and then that can really push the hair even more. So because the body itself was curved, it was sort of following the hair, which just kind of made everything like a curve together. And I don't think that is, I don't know, you can definitely do things with that, I guess, but I don't think it was what I was going for here. I don't think that, I just want to take it, a different direction. So you have a stick and then you have a curve with the hair. And I think that looks better here, in my opinion. Anyway. But I did a lot of adjusting with the neck. And I did a little bit of adjusting with the ears. There's lots of little tiny things that I was doing. And I think they add together to be pretty strong. I definitely could have kept going with this, but I think the point got enough across that hopefully, it's like, okay, this is directions and things to keep in mind. So I would definitely say for advice for this past me is to draw the body first before drawing in the clothes. I know sometimes you're bored and you get excited and you just want to go to the clothes. But if you want to improve, if you want to have a piece that you're probably more proud of and not just one that you're having fun with, because it's totally fine to draw the clothing without the body, you know, idgaff, like YOLO, whatever. But if you have certain art goals, that might not work with your art goals. If you want to have a piece that better fits the image that you have in your mind, that's not necessarily realistic, but that has a basis of realism, then you probably want a more better foundation of the body type that you're going for and the anatomy that you're going for, and then you can put the clothes on top, and then you can better visualize how those clothes will fall, the size that they'll be, where the folds will go, stuff like that. So having the body there as your foundation is pretty important. And yeah, so that's probably the biggest thing that I would say with this, aside from just flip your canvas. You know, just change your perspective some way, because I think a lot of the mistakes in this would have been found as well as just flipping the canvas or doing something. If you're a traditional artist, if I had done this traditionally, you can do this too, especially nowadays, because lots of people have smartphones or some kind of camera where you can take a picture and then you can flip it digitally. Or if it's a thin enough canvas or thin enough paper, you can hold it up to sunlight. So you can hold it up reversed. So hold it up facing away from you to like a window or a lamp or something, and then you can see what it would look like flipped. So there's definitely ways to flip your canvas traditionally as well. But I think had I done that, I would have noticed quite a number of mistakes. I know it's like not a taboo, but it's like a cringy feeling that a lot of artists have of like flipping the canvas, because then you see all the mistakes, but like they're there, they're gonna be there, like this is how you fix them. And so I think it's better to find ways to make it more fun, to be like, okay, like enjoy the wonkiness, you know, like laugh about it, like just point it out and have a good time, and then you can make your corrections. Like I don't think you need to feel bad that if you flip the canvas and there's all these issues there and it's like, oh no. But you know, even professionals like have this stuff happen. I've seen professionals where they flip their canvas and there's like, you know, there's things everywhere, or there's tangents, or there's issues. Like everybody has this. It's not just like a beginner artist problem or like intermediate or any artist in specific problem. It's in everybody, you know, they're going to flip the canvas, they're going to find something. That's just natural. So I think, you know, don't have it like, you know, don't like badly negatively take it to heart kind of thing. So I think, anyway, those would be my two biggest things of advice I would say was draw the body first and then flip the canvas. And then for the hair, for the most part, I like the hair. I think the hair works pretty well for this style. I think having the body be pretty plain and not overly detailed. I think there could have been more details added that I didn't draw in. I think you could have pushed things further. But I think having the body, again, just be like this calmness, this stillness to it, and then you have this wild hair, I think that could be really fun. So the hair having so much more texture, I think was an interesting choice. I know this was like a hairstyle that I was playing around with and experimenting with back then. And so I just wanted to have fun with this piece, and this piece was more just about having fun than I think, from what I remember, than like anything in specific, which is totally fine, totally valid. But I think this piece is really cool, and I liked the hair, so I didn't end up doing too much with the hair. I just added a couple stray strands, little spaghetti strands here and there, I think just to add just a little touch. Again, a lot of the stuff that I was doing was just baby steps further that I think had I seen this back then, I would have been like, oh my god, like I could take my art here, like just like the next level up sort of thing. And that's the sort of critique that I was aiming for. So hopefully if y'all watching this found this helpful, or hopefully y'all watching this found this helpful or interesting, at least, to see how I painted over this piece. Yeah, so if you have any critiques for 2008 me, feel free to leave your thoughts about this artwork in the comments below. And yeah, so that's pretty much it with this one. I add a couple last minute changes, add a little bit of touch of blush in the face, just the tiniest amount. I was like, I gotta do something, and the face just needs a little bit more. So I took out a blurry brush and I added a bit of blush in the face, and then I added a little bit more of the shadow at the bottom. I could have done a gradient, but I was like, let me just hand paint this in, because I don't know, was like, I don't want to do a gradient, and then I should have done a gradient. It would have been faster. But just to push the values a little bit more back towards the top of the piece, so your eyes don't really trail off the page. So that was the point of that. I could definitely go and critique in the values, but I think that's too much. I think the values and the color, that's a critique for another time. I think I made the important points that I wanted to address. I think I did that. And then obviously here is the side-by-side. And so let me know. How did I do? Did I do a good job? A bad job? I don't know. Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to see more critique videos like this of me like painting over or critiquing my old art, let me know as well. And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed, and thanks so much for watching. Also, a quick shout out for my Ko-fi page and my Ko-fi membership. If you want more art tips and advice and resources for your artworks, go check it out. Feel free to join. Okay, bye!